This podcast contains paid advertisements, but more on that later. Welcome to the O'Connor Bootstrap podcast, where I discuss how you can grow your business by the bootstraps. This applies to everyone with an entrepreneurial spirit. That includes bootstrappers just starting out, established business owners, and business leaders. My goal is to help you grow both personally and professionally. I'm your host, Isaiah O'Connor. Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible.com, the world's largest repository of audio books. The book I recommend today is entitled Unstoppable by Nick Vujicic. I'm pretty sure I pronounced that name fairly close, but maybe not, we'll see. Anyway, it was written by a man named Nick Vujicic. If you've never heard of Nick Vujicic, I highly recommend Googling him. He is an amazing guy. In Unstoppable, it talks about his life and him going around just building his business, how he met his now wife, and his life and his journey thus far. And the reason this book is so powerful is Nick Vujicic was born minus both his arms and both his legs. That's right, this guy was born with no arms and no legs, and he only has this tiny little foot-like appendage that he uses to do everything with. He calls it his little chicken drumstick. He's a funny guy. And an amazing guy. Here's a guy born with no arms and no legs, and yet he's bootstrapped a business. He's built a business from the ground up. He's an entrepreneur. He's a speaker. He's wildly successful. He married a beautiful young lady. He's got a couple of kids. And he was born with no arms and no legs. And yet he is, as the book is titled, unstoppable. He's an amazing man. Go check out the book. Of course, as always, if you go to audible.com/bootstrap with a capital B, that's audible.com/bootstrap with a capital B. You can get a free copy of Unstoppable by Nick Vujicic by signing up for the free 30-day trial. If you use the $14.95 a month trial period, you will get 1 Audible credit, which is good for any book, 2 Audible originals, which are content created just for and by Audible, as well as full access to a full listening library for the entire month. You can cancel at any time, there's no commitment, and it's very amazing. Plus, their customer service is second to none. They're amazing people. Go check them out. Remember, that's audible.com/bootstrap with a capital B. And now, let's get into this. Why did I choose to talk about Nick Vujicic at the start of this podcast? It's because today's subject is how sometimes hardships can force you to become more successful and do better. Enforced hardships can make you grow even stronger than before. And 2020 has had more than enough of its own hardships. That has affected everyone to some degree, and it's still crazy. Everything's completely crazy. There's uncertainty. The virus is coming back again. Lockdowns are coming back. There's the presidential election and no one knows what's going on. There's a lot of uncertainty. It's crazy. It's nuts. So what do you do when you're forced to struggle through these hard times? Especially if you're a small business owner who's been directly affected by this pandemic, or the rioting and the protesting. Maybe you have your storefront windows crashed in, maybe you've been looted, etc. I mean, times are tough, man. It's hard. I feel it. It's a very real likelihood that my own business, my balloon business, may not survive this. We will see. Which reminds me, I am very thankful that you guys are listening to this, because this is a secondary thing for me, something else I'm using to try to help provide for my family. So I do thank you so much for listening and supporting my channel. It's really great. Thank you so much. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes when we run into hardships, we might not even realize it at the time, but we are growing better and stronger because of the hardships, or even just a challenge that is suddenly thrust upon us that we don't see coming. For example, in the wonderful movie Cinderella Man, if you've seen it, the main character, Jim Braddock, I do believe, I can't remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but he breaks his hand, his right hand, and he's right-handed. And in order to get a job, this is during the Great Depression, so he had to go out and get a job no matter what, he went and got a job working at a warehouse or shipping yard or something like that, where he had to move heavy objects with his left hand the entire time. So, by the time his right hand had healed up and it was back to full strength, his left hand had also drastically increased in strength and flexibility, etc. So that when he returned to the realm of boxing, he was much, much more powerful as a boxer and did much better and was able to provide for his family. Why? Because he broke his one right hand that he was strong in. So sometimes when we run into a hardship, especially if we run into something that hurts some place that we're strong in, so we can't do that anymore, it forces us to compensate and learn and grow somewhere else. If you're a man born without arms and legs, you learn to use your voice to help and grow people and inspire people. Nick Vujicic. If you lose your eyesight, your ears get better. If you lose your ears, your eyes get better. Sometimes when you lose the ability to do one thing, you gain an ability to do another. And for example, this very podcast. If you've been listening for some time and maybe you've dropped away and you've come back and you've noticed that the audio quality is much better now. And no, I did not get enough money to buy a nice mic just yet. Still working on that. It's on my wish list, my Christmas wish list. The thing is, I've been working on another project where the audio quality of my recordings needs to be at a super high, excellent level. And this has forced me to come up with a different way to record my audio. The headset I was also using got damaged and stopped working completely, and I also found out that it too was not the best audio quality, and I do believe I've lost listeners because you couldn't hear what I was saying. So in order to produce this podcast for everyone, I needed to come up with another solution. And so I went back to something my partner, Jason St. Clair, had been giving me a hard time about, and start recording just using my phone and then uploading that and then editing it afterwards. Now, I was resistant to this for a couple reasons. A, the few times I did record straight into the phone, it was really echoey and the sound quality wasn't all that great, so I was skeptical. Secondly, it's much more difficult to record on the phone, at least with this app I got. I can start the recording, I can stop the recording, I can pause the recording, and that's it. I have no other editorial control on this phone. This means that I am forced to be much better at my monologue, at my talking, and work straight through and try to get it right the first time. Because it's much harder to do. I can't just stop it, go back, delete what I just said, and start over. I have to try to get it right the very first time. And speak much more clearly, hold more still so I don't get more background noise. All this good things. Oh, and I did learn a trick about podcasting where I'm podcasting under a blanket, strange as it sounds, because it cuts off all the background noise in my echoey apartment, thus making a better audio recording. So if you're looking at podcasting yourself, The more quiet the area, the better. And if you can have a blanket to cut off all the background noise, even better. The other thing is, when I record this, I have to upload it to my computer, then go back in, edit it, listen to it. And now because I have to listen to the whole thing to catch those mistakes I did make while recording, it makes me even more aware of the mistakes I've made and what I can do better, making me do this better. Therefore, these hardships, these struggles, this bootstrapping and starting from nothing has led to me getting to be better at podcasting. Go back to the early episodes. You'll hear how bad the audio quality is. It's gotten better over time as I've gotten better at doing the editing and cleaning up things and doing all those audio tech stuff. And I still am growing and I'm still getting better, but it made a huge jump being forced to not have anything but my phone to record with. It's forced me to get stronger. It's forced me to get stronger with my content creation. It's forced me to get stronger with my editing. It's forced me to get stronger overall in all aspects of my podcasting. For example, I still do from time to time, and I used to do it a lot, say or a lot. That and a little vocal tick of Now, saying at sometimes is applicable to the sentiment. But I was listening when I went back to my remastered series podcast. My very first episode, I think it was my first or second episode, I said 6 or 7 times in as many seconds. It was really, really bad. I said it every other word. I was nervous and I kept saying it. But listening to these things, listening and remastering this podcast, listening to my recordings as I record them, because I can't edit them while recording them, has forced me to be more attentive to my speech patterns, the way I say, or those little things, those little tweaks to podcasting, to broadcasting, it's hard to get rid of. But listening to it every day, while recording, while podcasting, has made me not do it as much, and in real life. This makes me better to be understood, and makes it better for me to podcast. And another example, along the same lines, is I used to speak at a crazy high rate. Still do, to some degree. However, I moved to Norway, and most people here speak English quite well. Matter of fact, a lot of people here speak English better than I do. But they're rather embarrassed to speak it, which is kind of funny. But that's only because they are perfectionists as a culture. They really want to do things really perfect, which is fine. But that's not my point. My point is, when I speak to Norwegians in English, because they do understand me, a good 70 to 80% of the time, if not more, I have to slow down my speech, because if I talk so fast, they can't understand me. They ask me to say it again, and they ask me to slow down. So it's forced me to learn how to speak more clearly and more slowly in order to be understood. And this has been a big struggle my whole life. Talking too much and talking too quickly. Just to give you an example, one of my good friends growing up, me and this girl, we would just for fun have super quick conversations just to mess with people's heads that were listening in. We'd say something along the lines, I don't even know if I can do it anymore, but, hi, how you doing? Good? Fine? What do you want to do? I don't know. What do you want to do? I don't know. Go hike? Yeah, sure, let's go hike. Whose car? My car? Your car? My car? Your car. Okay, sure. Got gas? No. I give you gas? Yeah, bye. And as fast as that was really slow to the type of conversations we'd have, feeding off of each other back and forth, just to mess with people's heads. And I used to speak at an incredibly fast rate. Still speak too fast, even on the podcast. As I listen, I hear myself speaking too fast, and I know I need to slow it down. But not so slow that I sound like William Shatner. So I'm working on that. But all this growth, all this learning, all this getting better comes from not being able to edit on the fly and adding an extra level of editing that I wasn't doing before, adding an extra level of complexity to the process, adding an extra amount of time and effort and energy into producing this podcast, which needed to be done. It's making me better. So if you find yourself in a situation where you're doing something that's not comfortable, it's outside your comfort zone, it's harder to do, it's forcing you to grow. You may not even realize until later how you've gotten stronger, what you've grown in, and how that can benefit you in the long run. It's really one of those things that sucks at the time and can be really, really rough. You might really, really hate it. But in the long term, you turn around and you look back and you would not trade it because it helped you become better. And that's the most important thing, that you do become better every single day, that you become better, stronger, faster. Yeah, if any of you have heard that one and understand it, then you're old. Anyway, so I'll wrap up with this. When you face hardships, when you have to make do with what you got and you can't buy anything fancy, or you have to find a workaround, or you have to work with a position that you're not strong with, so you have to switch from your right hand to your left hand, whatever, and it sucks and it's hard and you might not be having a great day, just realize that in the long term, these things make you stronger, better. So don't give up, push through, and be happy and joyful. Not happy, but joyful in the middle of it. Being a Christian, the Bible says, be joyful in tribulation. And I think this is kind of what it means. When you're going through a hard time, just take joy in the fact that you're growing and becoming stronger, and things will get better. And you can use this later because you're now stronger for it. Anyway, you have a great day. Bye-bye. If you found value in this content, please leave a comment and give us a 5-star rating on whichever podcast platform you use. We're on Apple Podcast, Spotify, Google, and most other podcast platforms. If you would like to support us, you can check out our sponsor links, or if you'd like to support us directly, you can donate or join our membership program at buymeacoffee.com/bootstrap. Of course, it really helps when you share these podcasts with your friends as well. If you'd like to interact with me and other bootstrappers and leaders, you can join us over at our O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast Facebook group. You have been listening to the O'Connor Bootstrap Podcast, an Atheoz Business Solutions podcast. For a companion podcast, the Atheoz Business Podcast, which is hosted by Jason St. Clair, past episodes and related blogs, please check out our website at www.atheoz.com, which is at www.atheoz.com or theoz.com. Until next time, I have been your friendly neighborhood entrepreneur, Isaiah O'Connor.